And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us and your patience this morning as your boy is a little bit under the weather. Can't really figure out what's going on or why it's going on, but I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with my wisdom teeth. So just say a little prayer for me if you can throw an extra one in there. Always praying for all of you and hoping that you're doing well. I'm here this morning with PJ. PJ in hour number one. Very excited to have Papa Joe on the show. As you know, it's a Thursday, so we're going to be reflecting on the NFL title game between the Eagles and the Chiefs, where the Eagles won the game 40-22. So we'll be discussing that with Papa Joe here this morning. And then in hour number two of the broadcast, it is going to be airing as its own individual special. So this hour number two at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, you're going to stay right here on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, for an unforgettable conversation with longtime collegiate football head coach Randy Edsall on the current state of college football. And we are covering everything. We are covering lawsuits. We are covering junior college eligibility. With that lawsuit, we're covering NIL, the transfer portal, realignment. What could it look like with a commissioner of college football divisions? All of that is on the table. So can't wait to share that with you. And we're here this morning in hour number one, of course, with PJ. PJ reflecting on that title game. So we're going to be talking about the title game between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And then in hour number two, we're going to have our own special that's going to be separate from this video. So just stay where you are on YouTube and Facebook and watch that video as well with Mr. Randy Edsall speaking on the state of college football. And you do not want to miss a layer of that conversation. So without further ado, the man is picture in picture with me, the go-so, the grand old smooth one, Papa Joe, PJ. You know what it is. And I normally do my little song for PJ, and I don't know what's going on. My tongue, my throat. I mean, I feel like I pulled a muscle in my face. I have no idea what the heck's going on. PJ, how we doing?
I'm much better than you are, apparently. My goodness. You look like you're in dire straits, bud.
I feel that way. So I definitely feel it. Normally I don't get woken up in the middle of the night, but I was woken up multiple times last night by this wonderful feeling. So trying to get better, trying to get on the mend. PJ, you and I made predictions here, and the prediction that we made for the title game, you and I both had the Eagles winning. You had the Eagles 27-20, so you were correct on the victor being the Eagles. I had 2 out of 3 things correct. I don't know if you remember this. Not only did I pick the Eagles, but I picked the Chiefs to score 22 points. So I got that score right as well. What are your thoughts reflecting on the big game, on how this game at one point was 34-0?
Well, it was a travesty, frankly. I mean, it was. I don't think I've ever seen a Super Bowl this bad. I mean, it was terrible. The Chiefs couldn't run the ball, couldn't pass the ball, couldn't cover special teams, couldn't cover punts. Couldn't block field goals. Couldn't do nothing. Oh, I don't know. There seems a disparity. You know, I'm always talking about, offensive, defensive lines. You know that I can usually tell after a couple of series how the offensive lines and defensive lines are playing, and let you know who's going to win the game. And that certainly was true. I noticed one thing that the Eagles did. Well, they did so many things good, but their offensive line is so huge. I mean, they're 6'6", the average 6'6", Daniel, and 338 pounds. Yeah. Now, if I'm the coordinator who's Spags for Kansas City, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. You know, one of the things I said before the bowl was it's going to two defensive coordinators who've been in the league, both of them, for almost 40 years. That's where the game was going to lie. And Vic Fangio against Spags, and Vic won out.
Yeah,
man, whatever he was calling, those guys did. And I was surprised that they bottled up. Kansas City didn't play well. Let's get that out in the open. It was terrible. And to watch garbage time for the last 3 quarters was painful for anyone who was watching the game. Uh, Kels was not non-factor. The only thing they did think was they bottled up Barkley. I think he had 25 carries for 50 something yards. I mean, they really bottled him up, but then they didn't take care of Hurts.
Yeah.
Hurts wind up, gaining 72 yards. I think the disparity on the offensive defensive lines was so enormous that even if Kansas City had another 2 weeks to plan for this game, it wasn't going to make any difference. Philadelphia is they were better, they were faster, and they were more diligent, and they were meaner. I mean, they kicked the hell out of Mahomes, and he didn't know which way it was coming. 6 sacks, awful, awful. Well, his stats looked good because it was garbage time, but by that time the game was over. Wasn't very much fun to look at. And Joe, of course, was sitting over here with his Mahomes jersey on and everything, and he was dying.
Yeah.
He said, "Dad," he said, "I can't watch this anymore." He said, "I got to go home," and he did. At that time, it was 34-6. So, well, congratulations to the Eagles. They did what they wanted to do. They controlled the line of scrimmage. He certainly just excuse me. He certainly controlled the clock, which was something like 33-25 or something like that in the clock, and they did what they had to do. They had to keep Mahomes off the field. And when Mahomes was on the field, they just beat the hell out of him. Possibly, it was a long time ago when I saw the Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
When the Chiefs beat the Packers in the Frozen Bowl.
Yeah.
And it was something like that where the offensive and defensive lines were so dominant that both sides of the football were pro Eagles. And one thing I mentioned to you when we were going back and forth in the game was Cooper DeJean. I had him, when I looked up my notes, I had him going in the first round to the Jaguars. And the reason I knew that is because some pundits down here had the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, how did the kid drop all the way to number 40? I can't understand that. He was a stud in college. He started for 4 years or 3 years. He's fast. He's mean. Catches the ball if he has to run. And he fields punts. I mean, the kid was a one-man wrecking crew. And he's a nice kid, too. So 22 years old, and here he is, a Super Bowl champion. Him and Barkley have the same birthday. That's quite a feat right there. Daniel, there's not a lot of good things to say about this game. I mean, we could talk about it forever, but it just wasn't a good game, period.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it and reflecting on this title game between the Eagles and the Chiefs for number 59 for the NFL, 59, an interesting number. I can't take credit for this. Somebody else figure this out. But Saquon's number 26, Cooper DeJean's number 33 made 59. And both of them, their birthday was the day that they played in the title game. So their birthday, February 9th, for Saquon and for Cooper, both had the same birthday, both on February 9th, both on the title game day. Add their numbers together, you get 59. God comes to me through numbers, so I'm not surprised that there was a little message in the numbers maybe here. But we looked at this and said, who would have more touchdowns? These are our prop bets that PJ and I made before the game. We're going to reflect on them. Who will have more touchdowns, Kelsey or Barkley? Thank goodness we didn't choose Kelsey on that one. The next one we had here is Isaiah Pacheco first, or would Taylor be first? And so, did I write Taylor? I'm trying to think here. So, who would we see first? Taylor Swift or Isaiah Pacheco? And I think we saw Taylor first, which we got that right. Will Bill Belichick be in a commercial? I said he would be. I don't think he was. And then we had an Affleck commercial. I think that was connected to him. Hurts or Mahomes for the first rushing touchdown. We obviously got that right with Hurts because he had the first touchdown of the game on the tush push. And then Taylor Swift in the halftime show, we both said no. We were correct on that. Funniest commercial, State Farm, Doritos, or somebody else. You said State Farm. I said somebody else. It was definitely, in my opinion, somebody else. These commercials were pretty funny. And they didn't run out of commercials like they did last year. I don't know if people saw it, but like last year around the third quarter, it seemed like they had run out of commercials because here in Syracuse, they kept playing local commercials. And I'm like, there's no way in heck that these local people paid $8 million to run like 40
True.
commercials. So
That's true.
that was interesting. 007 preview, we both said no. There wasn't one. There was a Mission Impossible, though. And then you said Karlaftis or Bond. You picked Bond. I picked Karlaftis. You were right. Bond played an incredible game. He had an interception for the Eagles, as well as Cooper DeJean. And then we had Kelsey or Goddard. You said Goddard. I said Kelsey. Both of them did not do much in this game, so that was kind of a wash. So that's really where we were at with this. We both picked the Eagles, and like I said, I picked the Chiefs to have 22 points, random number, but it ended up being right. So we both picked the Eagles, PJ. What is it about Philadelphia? I know you talked about the game itself and what you saw, but what made you believe in Philadelphia going into it? Because obviously, in this case, Philadelphia was David and the Chiefs were Goliath. Back a few years ago, the Chiefs were David and the Patriots were Goliath. So what made you believe in Philadelphia before the game was played?
Well, after researching all the numbers and everything, it was clear to me that the Eagles had the best defense in the National Football League. They were first and second in several categories. And that alone, defense wins football games, just like in baseball, defensive wins and pitching wins baseball games. I think the way we discussed the game, the way the Eagles kept running the ball and kept Mahomes off the field early was probably the most important part of the game. And it just wasn't very fun to watch. I mean, I tried to watch it all. I did watch it all. I just wasn't very happy with it. But Jalen Hurts has always been a winner. Jalen Hurts was a winner at Alabama. He's a winner at Oklahoma. He's a winner with the Eagles. Yeah. Some people, including me sometimes, don't think that he's a legitimate quarterback, which he certainly is. He's just not a great quarterback, and he doesn't have to be great. He's got to take care of the ball, which he did. He runs the ball. He passes when he has to. I mean, a guy was 17 to 22, 221 yards with 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. So put that in your hat and smoke it. Well, Mahomes was 21 to 32 for 257 and 3 TDs, but it was garbage time stuff. Hurts gained 72 yards. Barkley gained 57 yards. They ran the ball. They didn't run Goddard on a tight end sweep, which I thought they would have a couple times, but they didn't need to do it. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Goddard's caught a bunch of passes. And then, but the defense was the key. Yeah. Zach Bond, who I think he played for New Orleans for a while. He's come into his own this last year. He's a great linebacker, sees the field all the time. It seems like he's a coach on the field. He's directing his guys what to do. And I thought he played a great game. And DeJean was everywhere. And his first touchdown or his first interception, when he cut across the field and Mahomes was rolling right, he tried to throw across his body and back to the center of the field, probably looking for Kelsey. We didn't see that far, but DeJean stepped in, and you can see his running ability. I mean, he just ran it in for the TD. He got response. He just an all around good player. I mean, and I'm pissed that the Jaguars didn't get him. But besides the game itself, Daniel, there's other things to discuss when it comes to this type of football game, and usually it has to do with head coaches. And the head coaches that were named this year had to drag it out to the very end because the whole world knew that Kellen Moore was going to be the coach of the New Orleans.
And we had to wait for that during the game with that. I said, to go. Not to interrupt you on that. What I said in the game with that, PJ, is I said if Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator for the Eagles and the game is in the Superdome in New Orleans, did he, while the game was going on or during the week of the game, did he send a U-Haul down and is he just going to pitch a tent there and stay there? I said, there's no point in Kellen Moore going back to Philadelphia, was there?
No. That's a good point. Um, yeah, I feel for the bad. I mean, I was going through. Actually, I have something to say about that today. About the head coaches that were hired, to seven of them, and Kellen Moore, of course, is going to New Orleans. He'll be a James Bond had to interrupt me there. Um, he's going to be a good head coach. Period. He was okay this first go around, but it didn't fit him right. Unfortunately, when he goes to New Orleans, they don't have any money under the cap to do anything. So he's going to have to try to hire some, sign some free agents and hit the draft wheel well.
Yeah.
So I think that Kellen would be very fortunate for him if he won close to half of his games. So, but in any event, some of the KC players didn't play all that bad. I thought the defense played really well. In some spots, Drew Tranquil had 11 tackles, 7 solos. Nick Bolton, which I really like as a football player, he had 9 tackles and 4 solos. Other than Elliott kicking 4 field goals, there wasn't much to say about Philadelphia other than they just kicked the hell out of them. Going back to Kellen Moore at New Orleans, I know he's got a quarterback in David Carr. He probably likes him. David Carr is a good quarterback, period. He's not a great one, but he can throw the hell out of the ball. So I'm not sure. He's got Kamara at the halfback. He's got some wideouts. But maybe he'll be able to take some of the players from Philadelphia. I don't think so. I think Philly's probably going to tie things up with some of the really good players. They have to be re-signed. After watching Hurts play, I had to go back and look up some stuff on Mike Tomlin, who was really one of my favorite coaches. I think he's an awesome guy. He's a great leader of men. He doesn't win as much as he should, but I'm thinking of Mike Tomlin, and he's probably thinking the same thing. Jalen Hurts. I've watched this kid play. He runs the ball when he has to. Quarterback plays, quarterback keepers, RPOs. And he's probably thinking to himself, why can't I do that with the 2 players that I have? Yeah. And the more I looked into it, and Mike is not being Mike. Mike's probably going to let Russell Wilson go. And please, Mike, give the kid Fields a chance. Everyone's saying for 5 years that the kid can't play quarterback in the NFL. Well, maybe not yet, but, you give the kid a chance. Throw him out there. So you're going to lose maybe a multitude of your games this year. Put him out there and see what you got. What are you going to do? Bring in Aaron Rodgers? No. Mike Tomlin, wake up. Give the kid a chance.
Well, PJ, I got to tell you something. Speaking of change and things going on, this morning within the hour in the sports world here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Trevor Lawrence allegedly has been brought up in trade talks with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
Your thoughts if the Jaguars give up Trevor a year after signing him to an extension?
Well, it wasn't a bulky that made that deal, that's for sure. Wow, that's something. Maybe Mike Tomlin's got something up his sleeve that I didn't know about. Maybe he doesn't want Fields after all. Daniel, that's a barn burner there, buddy. My thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. I want to see Trevor Lawrence grow up as a Jaguar. You got Tony Vaselli in the front office now. They got I hope we got a good coach in Liam Cohen. I'm certainly going to be an offensive coach, bring in a good defensive coordinator. Some of the pieces are there. The defense played like crap last year. They were last, I think, in a lot of categories. And I think what we saw with Pedersen coming in was he was going to have to clean house and put his own stamp on a team. Well, unfortunately, after 3 years, that never happened. And Khan was beside himself. He didn't know what to do. He's not going to fire the guy in the middle of the year, but he certainly was going to fire him at the end of the year. Didn't take long to do that.
Yeah.
But for Mike Tomlin and whoever the powers to be at Pittsburgh, I used to deal with some of the Rooneys when I was in the racing industries because the Rooneys, besides their football venture, they own Yonkers Raceway, which is a harness track in New York City. And I had a few promotions with them, and I knew the GM Bob Galterio, who was married one of the Rooney girls, and he's now running some of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not sure he's at Yonkers anymore. But the Rooneys are very loyal to their people. We know that from the football coaches they've hired over the years. And I think for them to get together and maybe put something like that out there, uh, I'm not sure. It's a lot of shaking in the trees there, Daniel. I don't know what's going to drop from the trees, but something like that would going to lose our. What are they going to do? Trade for 6 players or something like that? I mean, I don't know if it makes any sense, but good luck with Mike Tomlin on that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is how I feel. If the Jacksonville Jaguars trade away quarterback Trevor Lawrence to the Pittsburgh Steelers or anybody else, they should end their road as an NFL franchise and open up a lemonade stand in their new stadium. That's how I feel.
I love it. I
That's how
love
I
it.
feel. You
I
you don't
lemonade stand.
you don't have
That's
a
great.
general manager. You have a good tight end in Evan Engram. You have 2 running backs. They got to figure out what they want to do with Travis Etienne Jr., but you got Travis Etienne Jr. under another year. You have Tank Bigsby in his rookie contract at running back. You have to get an offensive line. You have to get a defensive line. In my opinion, you have to go get corners and secondary help. But you have Josh Allen at linebacker. You have Foye Oluokun at linebacker. You have wide receivers that are led by Brian Thomas, who just had a franchise year. So you got a tight end. You got weapons at wide receiver and at running back. You have your quarterback. You have your linebackers. You have your kicker and Mr. Little, who did a good job as a rookie. So what you need is secondary, O-line, and D-line. If the Jacksonville Jaguars let go of Trevor Lawrence, if they do, then they would have spent millions of dollars to build up a pier that will have nothing on it. You might as well level it all and just have shipments come in from boats across the world and just make it a shipping area. I mean, we know the Navy is down in Jacksonville. Maybe they can take over the stadium and utilize it for training. But, I mean, if you get rid of Trevor Lawrence, and this is coming from somebody who's been a fan since 1995 when you came into the league. If you get rid of Trevor Lawrence, I don't even regard you as a franchise anymore. I will consider 31 NFL teams, and I will consider this other thing that's kind of just like a hanging chad, which Florida knows all about. So I want to say, PJ, that I'm baffled, but if bad decisions could be made in one area within a certain period of time, Jacksonville has definitely taken the cake of bad decisions. What are your thoughts?
It would be a terrible decision. No question about it. It would be a terrible decision. Um, Trevor Lawrence, hasn't been the type of quarterback that would lead a team for 10 years. He's still learning a little bit. I think he's still got some problems out there. But my goodness, I mean, he was our transitional quarterback for this team to carry forward for 10 or 12 years. Now, that's the way we all thought about it. That's the way the pundits down here think about it. And I don't understand why they would think any other way. I'm at a loss. I don't know. I really don't have it. Usually I have a smart ass comment to make, but I don't have a smart ass comment to make here because it just takes me by surprise. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I mean, would it be possible to send Justin Fields here with 5 or 6 other players for a transitional quarterback? I don't know.
But you want to know what's hilarious? Is when the Jaguars drafted in 2021, PJ, they drafted Trevor Lawrence first. They chose Trevor Lawrence over Justin Fields. If they make a trade with the Steelers, they'll be choosing Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence after choosing Trevor Lawrence over Justin Fields, which makes legitimately no sense.
That's a very good point. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Um, well,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you how I'll do it. This is how I would make the trade. If you're going to get rid of Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville, which is stupid and idiotic, I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the country, but sweet mother, why don't you give a coach or why don't you give a quarterback in Jacksonville an opportunity to have a coach for more than a few years? Remember, Trevor Lawrence has already had 2 head coaches. This is his 3rd head coach. He came into the league in 2021. This is his 3rd head coach. We're in 2025. Okay? This is his 3rd leader. Urban Meyer, pardon me, 4th, because it was Urban Meyer, interim, Doug Peterson, and then now Liam Cohen. Duval. So now we have. So now
he blew that, didn't he?
But it's like, this is his 4th head coach in 4 years, and you want to blame Trevor Lawrence? You want to blame Trevor? So this is my suggestion, okay? If for some stupid reason you make this bad decision, which Jacksonville has been prone to bad decisions like an epidemic in recent history, and they're kind of becoming anemic with it, if they make this bad decision and they give Trevor Lawrence to the Steelers, this is what I want, okay? Because I'm going to tell you something. Well, I'll tell you this after. But this is what I want. If you're going to make this bad decision, this is what I want if I'm the Jaguars. I want the Pittsburgh Steelers first-round pick for the next 4 years. That's what I want. Because that's a first-round, that's a number 1 overall pick. Man didn't lose hardly in high school or in college. He helped to keep Clemson on the map. Won a national, going out there winning national championships. Here's my thing. If you want me to give you Trevor Lawrence, I'm not giving you anything. This whole they'll give us Trevor and we'll give them 2 picks and then they'll give us another pick. What is this other pick? I'm giving you Trevor Lawrence. You're not getting any picks from me. You're not getting any cash from me. You're not getting a pat on the back from me. If I'm going to give up my potential franchise quarterback to you, I want first-round picks all day, every day. I want it because in the words of Kevin Costner in Draft Day, I want it because I friggin' feel like it. Okay? That's what I want. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I did when I was in high school at Christian Brothers Academy. I took a class called Intro to Business, and they said in the Intro to Business class that we could pick anything in the world, any job, but we had to stand up in front of the class and tell the class why we should be that thing. I chose to be the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars when I was a junior in high school back in 2001. It is now 24 years later. I think that I would have been a better general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2001 than what they've had. I'm sitting here in 2025, and they still don't have a general manager. They've interviewed some people, but they do not have a GM right now, and we are heading toward the draft. I don't know what the plan is for the Jaguars to have, but I guess their plan is no plan. So I look back at young me in 2001 who said, I could be the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And my teacher, Mrs. Mannion, I believe I got like 100 on that. I believe she liked the pitch that I gave. The pitch that I gave back then and the pitch that I would give now is that you can't do any worse. So Jacksonville, I'll tell you a decision to make. Make me your general manager. Okay, because 24 years ago I had thoughts on how I would handle things, and in the last 24 years I haven't liked most of the decisions that have been made. So let me be the general manager. Let me run this team. Let Shad Khan do what he does, which is make money and stay upstairs. And to learn from Jerry Jones that you don't come downstairs. Okay, you stay upstairs. And so you stay upstairs, you do your thing, you make money, you have fun. But this is not a gimmick. This is not a dog and pony show. This is a football team. And let me be the general manager. First order of business, whoever in the building suggested trading Trevor Lawrence is going to get fired. I'm going to keep Trevor. I'm going to apologize to Trevor. And I'm going to plan for the draft to give him offensive linemen that are going to actually block for him, and a defensive line that's going to try and put him back on the field. And then this other crazy thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down with Liam Cohen and I'm going to really, really decipher who this man is, why this man is, what his plan is. And we're going to figure this thing out, because I am not planning on giving Trevor his 5th head coach in 5 years, 6 years. This man has had 4 head coaches in 4 years. And they want to blame Trevor Lawrence? Urban Meyer was a laughingstock. He was the coach until mid-October. Then you bring in an interim guy. You let him run it out. Then you bring in Doug Peterson. And with all due respect, Doug Peterson had weapons, but he didn't have everything he needed. Trevor Lawrence got injured. You can't blame Doug for that. He probably should have had surgery a year before. You can't blame Doug for that. And unless Doug held a gun to somebody's head and said he's not having surgery, which I don't think he did, then you can't blame Doug for that. So my thing is, you look at the leadership you have. Trevor, Foye, Oluokun, Christian, Kirk, if you're going to do something with him. But you look at the leadership that you have in that locker room, and I've been in that locker room, and so I know where the leadership lies. Evan Engram, you look at Josh Allen. You look to these guys and you sit down with them and you talk with them and you decipher who on this team is a disease and who on this team is actually helping this team. And then you go into this offseason, you start planning right now. Okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars should have been planning their free agent moves, their trade talks, and their draft picks during the season, not now. And now whatever the old GM Trent Baalke planned, that's over, right? Because now you got a new GM. Right now you have no GM. If I'm the in the movie Draft Day, the Jacksonville Jaguars were a laughingstock in that movie. Kevin Costner was running the Browns. He said, "Who's the GM in Jacksonville?" Oh, he's this young guy, da-da-da. He called up Jacksonville and took advantage of this guy. And wow, if this movie doesn't feel real right now. So hire a general manager who knows what he's doing or she's doing. Okay? Figure out the problems you've had forever, offensive line, that can't stay healthy. Figure out your strength and conditioning program and your nutrition program, because if these guys are getting hurt every single year, it might be a you problem and not a them problem. So you can put lipstick on a pig, okay? I've been up and down that hallway and they've changed different things and they cut this wall out and put a window there and oh my gosh, we got a bigger facility. I don't care. If you don't have the right people with the right regimen and the right nutrition and the right strength and conditioning, these guys are going to keep getting hurt even if they're great. So figure out why Jacksonville is not a place for these guys to be successful consistently. Change those things and move forward, because health is important, right? A reliable guy is available, right? So you want to have availability. The best ability is availability, is what people say. So that is something to look at first. Then you got to get rid of the people that want to get rid of Trevor Lawrence. And you got to assess the situation of what you have and what you need. But if there's not a plan in place of what they're going to do with the offseason, with free agency, if there's not a plan with trades, if there's not a plan in who they're going to draft and why they're going to draft them, then why even have an NFL franchise? I mean, again, in 2001, I wrote a paper and made a presentation why I should be the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm not even saying me now. I would have taken me back in 2001 over what we've had. So, Jacksonville, wake up. You truly do need a wake-up call. I'm happy we're talking about it on a show called that. But wake up, sit up straight, figure out who in the building's for you and who's against you, who just cares about their hair, and who actually cares about doing a job, and let's get it done. Because if you trade away Trevor Lawrence, I'm not kidding with you. You are in the process of revamping a stadium that no one's going to want to sit in. So if you get rid of Trevor Lawrence, save yourself some money, make a giant Duval lemonade stand, and call it a day.
You're very good, Daniel. That was really good. That was one of your better rants right there. And it's true. I don't know how to respond to that. I think you hit the nail on the head at 20 different places. I can't imagine you being a GM at 15 years old, though. But it's possible. I remember going through a process where I was between careers. I had left the racing industry, and I was going to this consulting firm up in Jacksonville to help me find a different job. And they really fed me a lot of junk. I hook, line, and sinker. I had to pay a lot of money, and it didn't do nothing for me. But they kept prodding me. What would you like to do in your second career? And I said, well, I have all this information. I says, I'd love to be a GM of a football franchise. And that didn't go anywhere. But that's probably something I aspired to do. And they made me believe that I could do that. And I didn't, and they didn't. And well, I left. But you know, Daniel, there's 7 different jobs out here now for head coaches in the NFL. And I think let's give Trevor a little break right now, and perhaps maybe go over the 7 of them that we've got. And I know you're going to be opinionated on them, and I have some great opinions on them.
Yeah.
And we can start with the first one, which is Pete Carroll, Las Vegas Paddy. The Raiders.
The Raiders.
So,
PJ, let's do that. Let's do that, but we're going to do it right after this fast break. We're gonna Ryan Seacrest these people. You're going to set it up, and we're going to make them wait for it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to American Idol this thing. So this is how you do it, PJ. You say, we're going to talk about the coaches that have just been hired in the NFL right after this. That's how we do it. We'll be back right after this fast break inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Stay with us. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience, it's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really changed the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're gonna be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever gonna have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, head off to Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for you Monday through Saturday with all different cars for whatever your needs are as an individual or as a family. Head over to Great Lakes Honda City today. My favorite, the CRV. I got the 2025. They changed the look in the front. They said a lot of women have liked the CRV recently, but a lot of men didn't like the front of it. So they wanted to do something that like brought more men into the fold of this thing. I'll tell you what, my car looks mean. My car looks sleek. And I'm very happy to drive it. And it's great in the snow. And we have had so much snow. PJ, I've had snow in my backyard for 2.5 weeks. It just keeps getting a little bit higher. I got to dig out spots for Lily. So we got ice under the snow. It's snow upon snow. We might be getting more snow today. So, you know, I see the sun behind you. And all I'm saying is you have the perfect weather right now. You got the 70s during the day. You got like 50-something, 60 at night. This is a perfect time for me to sneak away down to Florida. And I told my mom, I said, I'm trying to find a way in my schedule to just get down to Florida for a little while. So I'm happy you're enjoying the warmer weather.
Well, your room is always available, of course. MT's she's got to change the bed though first before you come down. So you know the way MT is. Yeah. I had to get the Trevor Lawrence thing, and 6 minutes ago there was another deal put on the internet, and they actually do want to do this deal, Daniel. They actually want to trade for this kid. I don't know what to say. I'm very disillusioned with. I have been disillusioned with the Jaguars since they got rid of Pedersen. Pedersen's a good coach. I mean, he's a Super Bowl coach. I mean, he didn't have the right parts there. But the one thing that the Jaguars have always lacked, other than Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor said again, is talent. They just don't have enough talent to block for him. They got talent on defensive end of the line, but it's not coming together. How can they be last? How can they be last in defense when you got Josh and Trevon on patrolling the ends? I don't get it. So, you know, perhaps maybe there'll be more smoke than fire here. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. I just would like to see someone, if someone's going to do that, someone's going to actually make a decision and say, okay, Pittsburgh, if this is what you like, this is what we would like. Relating back to I want 2 first rounders, first this year and next year, and 1 wide receiver and 2 defensive players, something like that. I don't know, you know, it seems to be it seems to be a topic right now.
Well, you know, I will say, I guess Kevin Costner from draft day, he was running the Cleveland Browns. Apparently, he stayed in the AFC North, and now he's running the Steelers, going after the Jaguars and trying to take advantage of them again. But, I mean, this is great. And like you said, I mean, it's great. Jacksonville gives somebody up to a team that desperately – when people say how important is Trevor Lawrence, PJ, DT, he's not that good. Look at the team, look at this and that. I would say, 1, he played injured at times. 2, he's never had a healthy offensive line. 3, he's had 4 coaches in 4 years. So these are all the things that paint the picture of Duval. So, and that's not how I say it.
You're not going to let that rest, are you?
That's not how I say it, for the record. We know how to say Duval. But
right.
anyways. But taking a look at this situation. I don't put it on Trevor in a lot of scenarios, like not having an offensive line, playing injured, playing on a high ankle sprain and a shoulder injury at the same time, insane, and having 4 coaches in 4 years as your head coach. Not to mention the different shifts that go on in the assistant coaching and all that good stuff. So Trevor's been through a lot of things that are not his fault. But when people say, Dan, PJ, he's not that important. Okay, he's not that important to the Jaguars. Let me prove you wrong. If he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and becomes a quarterback, he's going to be a favorite. The Steelers will become a favorite to make it to the championship game. If Trevor Lawrence goes there with George Pickens and Najee Harris, whatever they decide to do with the backfield, if he goes to that team with TJ Watt and company, when people say Jacksonville doesn't need Trevor, he doesn't mean that much to the Jaguars, he's not that good, put him on the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, and they become a contender to not win the AFC North, but to win the AFC and go to the NFL's title game. So when you say he's not that important, take him and place him on the Pittsburgh Steelers and tell me that you don't think that that team has a shot of winning a title. That's how important he is.
A very good point. And he would make them certainly competitive.
100%.
Well, Liam Cohen's got a big job on his hand, and if he's not going to have his transitional quarterback, then he's a hurting gator, as we say down here.
So let's discuss him, PJ. Let's discuss, because you said you want to talk about the 7 coaches that were hired. Let's start with Duval. Let's start with Liam Cohen. You know, I mean, if you want to say Duval like Willy Wonka, I guess that's a way to do it. But so he comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, what made him enticing, and you had brought it up well before he got the job and all the drama, you brought up that that's what you were hearing down there. That was the scuttlebutt down in North Florida, is that they like this Liam Cohen guy coming from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the thing that makes me sit with this, or that had me sit with it a few weeks ago and like it before I heard a very interesting way of saying Duval, is that this season with Tampa, they made it to the playoffs playing during the season without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, sometimes without the both of them. So I'm thinking, okay, if this guy is the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's finding ways to get Sean Tucker going, to get Bucky Irving going, to get Rashad White going, to get all the guys behind Chris Evans or Mike Evans and Chris Godwin going. If he could do all these things with an offense that has 2 of the best wide receivers in the country when they're not even on the field, and he can have success with multiple running backs, well, then I'm looking at an offensive maybe genius. So this is a great move. So for the sake of that, you know, saying, okay, Liam Cohen can do some good things, but he did good things when his best guys were down. I mean, Baker Mayfield, keep in mind, folks, he pushed NFL title caliber teams to the brink when the offense didn't have every weapon, and Baker Mayfield still found people. Now, we're going to find out if that was more Baker than Liam. We'll find that out soon. But when you look at it from the outside looking in, you say, if Liam Cohen can have a successful offense, push the best teams in the NFL, and make the playoffs, even when he doesn't have his best weapons, that says something to me about his system. Because if your system succeeds without your best players, you have a good system, and that means you can put other people in there, and you can plug them into the system and utilize them, even when you don't have a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin. So for that reason, I like the move. What makes me not like the move is that this guy has changed places like underpants. He has been all over college. He has been all over the NFL. This dude is here, there, back, over there, down there, over there. And this is the story of a typical Jacksonville head coach, right? Give him 3 years and he's gone. Well, Liam Cohen, he'll go 1 year, 2 year, gone. So I just wonder, for somebody who has been a journeyman himself, can he find a home in one place? Because we've never really seen him have to be in one place for a long period of time and have to be successful there. So I guess that's where I sit at, PJ, is, what does that all mean in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I think, Liam Cohen, I think, has a lot of potential. I think he's got 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 a lot of I think that's a legitimate point. He didn't handle the hiring process very well at all. Um, no doubt that he was maybe he's not the best decision maker. If he can't make his decision for his own self about what he wants to do, where he wants to go, that doesn't bode well for me. Um, you're correct in saying that he's bounced around from place to place. Perhaps maybe he's the next big name to run an offense. Um, what bothers me about Liam is that, of course, the Duval thing is ridiculous. That's one of the worst things I've ever heard. It was terrible. Uh, what bothers me is that he hasn't started in this position and built a team. Uh, Tampa's coach Todd, who's also been slandered over the years because he can't get it done, but he is now with a recycled Baker Mayfield. I think if you put Baker Mayfield on our team with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I think he score a lot of points. And I think if he's thinking along that way, then he's got to be jumping through some hoops right now, thinking that, hey, if this is what these people are thinking, I've already got this job. I'm going to be in the same predicament that New Orleans has got. I'm not going to have a quarterback, and I'm not going to have anything to work with. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's thinking an awful lot about what's happening. And I don't know if this was done intentionally, Daniel, or it actually came from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But it's serious breach of loyalty that you don't say things like this, and the pundits grab it, spin it around the world. All of a sudden, you got 6 minutes later, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Trying to refute it or not.
Yeah, it is an interesting situation for him to be in if this happens, right? They got him in, he took the job, and then you slap him with, you don't have a quarterback now, and now you got one of these early picks in the draft, you got the 5th overall pick. Are you going to draft a quarterback in a time where there's no clear-cut guy to be your number one guy? So, that would be a horrible situation for Liam Cohen to be put in. And if I was Liam Cohen, I would look at Schott and go, I don't want the job. Like, you brought me in, or you were going to interview me, you Zoom called me or whatever, Microsoft Teams, and then you wanted to bring me in for an on-site. I said no. You fired Chet Belke. I came back. Now I want to be your coach. Then you get rid of my quarterback. You get rid of my franchise player on the team. And now you want me to go out there and figure out what to do with the 5th overall pick and show you how good I am right in this moment when I need offensive and defensive linemen. I don't want to be your head coach. I mean, in all honesty, if Liam Cohen walked away, if Trevor Lawrence gets traded away and Liam Cohen decides to leave, I don't blame him by any stretch of the imagination. I don't even know if he stays and his staff stays because he's been hiring staff. You've got to think about everybody's life. So if he stays, which I think he would because now you don't want to mess with everybody else's life, then if I'm him, I'm thinking at the end of this year, I'm looking to go somewhere else. I'm going to tell my coaching staff, hey, we're going to do everything we can here in Jacksonville. But if they trade away Trevor Lawrence, if I'm Liam Cohen, I'm telling my staff, we're going to work as hard as we can to get really good jobs in other places next year. Because I'm not staying here and dealing with this. I mean, there's no way that Liam Cohen, unless they make a bold move and go get, is Jacksonville planning on getting Lamar Jackson? What is the plan in Jacksonville? So, who are you going to get in the offseason that people want to give up? Who's going to come into Jacksonville and be a young quarterback that is successful, that can win games, that has playoff experience? Who are you going to get? Are they going to go get Kirk Cousins, and make no sense? Are they going to try and make a play for Sam Darnold now that J.J. McCarthy is going to be the heir apparent in Minnesota? Jacksonville really has to think long and hard about all the bad decisions that they've made, and that getting rid of Trevor Lawrence might be the worst one that they've ever made. So this comes down to really thinking about it. And if I'm Liam Cohen and you take my quarterback away, and then Shad Khan looks at me and says, you got to figure out who you want at 5, Well, now I'm going to need a quarterback. I'm going to need an offensive lineman. I need an O tackle. Keep in mind, Jacksonville traded away their left tackle. They traded away Cam Robinson, who they put so much blood, sweat, and tears and money into. They traded him away last year to Minnesota. So keep in mind that they need a blindside offensive tackle immediately. So that should be their fifth pick. It shouldn't be a quarterback. It can't be a quarterback. But Jacksonville is a team in disarray. If you take Trevor Lawrence away and I'm Foye Oluokun, I'm requesting a trade. If I'm Josh Allen, I'm requesting a trade. If I'm Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, Brian Thomas, I'm requesting a trade. If I'm Travis Etienne, I'm going with him because I played with him in college. So, I mean, to me, and they haven't signed Travis to a long-term deal, getting rid of Trevor Lawrence will kill a franchise that is almost dead. So if I'm Liam Cohen, I'm going to Shad Khan's office and saying, you did not hire me. Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe this is a whole thing where they agreed on this. But if it's not, if I'm Liam Cohen, I'm going to his office going like, you hired me on lies. I mean, I came here because I get to work with this guy. I didn't come here to go draft some guy. I came here because I got to work with this guy. So unless Liam Cohen is in agreement with this, I'd be livid that this conversation is even happening right now. Let's go to the next one, PJ. Pete Carroll and the Raiders. Pete Carroll, at the ripe age of 197 years old, is back in the NFL. And so, Pete, I mean, this is an interesting move by the Raiders. Now, the Raiders, they make interesting moves, right? They went back, they got John Gruden after John Gruden had retired from being a head coach. That didn't work. The Raiders like making big splash names, but unique names, like taking John Gruden out of retirement. Now they're taking Pete Carroll out of retirement. Will it work this time? It didn't work with John Gruden. Will it work with Pete Carroll?
No, I don't think it is. I don't know much about the Raiders anymore. I know they got Aiden O'Donnell, which is a pretty decent at guard and issue quarterback. I mean, those guys don't blow the skirt up, as Mary always says. That's not going to do anything for a coach. So what does Pete Carroll do that he knows the best? He gets a hold of Russell Wilson and said, Russell, you want to come and play for me at Las Vegas? And, of course, Russell says, yes. And then the Roonies are sitting there with Justin Fields and saying, we can't take this kid to be our quarterback. Let's see if we can find something. So that's then the whole Trevor Lawrence things. So I think where it's going, Daniel, is that he has a fair team, not a real good team, but a fair team. Be lucky to get 500. But Pete Carroll is 72 years old, going into a franchise to try to win again is not healthy.
Yeah, you know, and the interesting thing here is Chip Kelly leaves Ohio State, where I just interviewed him. He just won a championship, and he leaves Ohio State to be the offensive coordinator of the Raiders. And then not only that, but you have Patrick Graham, who was interviewing for the Jaguars head coaching job, and now he's going to stay the D coordinator for the Raiders. So interesting there how that all shakes out. Let's go to the Jets. Let's go across country. Yeah, to the New York Jets, to Aaron Glenn. Now, Aaron Glenn, this is an interesting one. Now, Aaron Glenn was like highly coveted, and then the Detroit Lions had a miserable game against the Washington Commanders in the playoffs, and now I'm like, Aaron Glenn probably wished he signed that contract before. But Aaron Glenn is going to the Jets. He's a former Jet. He played DB for the New York Jets. So now they're not just bringing in a coach who's a former NFL player. They're bringing in a coach who's a former New York Jet. Your thoughts on this? Robert Saleh was let go during the season, and now allegedly Aaron Rodgers may not be a Jet this season. Devontae Adams may not be a Jet this season. So they might try to be a package deal somewhere else. So what are your thoughts on where things are here with Aaron Glenn and the Jets? And keep in mind, Jordan Travis, who went through an ACL injury at Florida State and then got drafted by the Jets late, I said I wanted him to get a shot at being the Jets quarterback, and I would think that he might have a shot in being the Jets quarterback. They might also draft Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. So what's your take on Aaron Glenn and if Aaron Glenn is going to be without Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams.
Well, Aaron Glenn, he's talking a good game now, but he doesn't have much to work with. Being a defensive coordinator in the league and then coming in to be the head coach, he's going to need an offensive coordinator. He's going to need everything on the offensive side of the board that he's not familiar with. That's not his forte. His forte is defense. His forte is safeties, cornerbacks. That's what he did. I don't look very favorably at this deal either. I think he's a very capable man, certainly. I just don't know if he could be overwhelmed by what he's got. Certainly coming in right off the bat with their GM saying, Aaron, we're all done, buddy. And Aaron's going to say, well, how much you owe me? And Aaron will say, get the money and go. So I don't think this is going anywhere either, Daniel. This isn't a head coach for this particular team at this particular time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope Aaron Glenn does well, but he steps into this with having to look for a new quarterback and understanding that. He's got Jordan Travis on his roster, and I hope Jordan Travis gets the shot that I said he should get within his first couple years. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Lions, he becomes the head coach of the Jets. The offensive coordinator for the Lions, Ben Johnson, who is coveted allegedly by many teams, becomes the Chicago Bears head coach after allegedly some people thought he was going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders, and then they thought he was going to go to the Jaguars, Duval, and so he ends up going to the Chicago Bears. That Duval is going to haunt me. So we look at it won't haunt me. I won't let it. So we look at Ben Johnson going to the Chicago Bears. Now Ben Johnson inherits last year's number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, at quarterback. He also inherits a defense that made Caleb Williams look good at times in games. What is your take on Ben Johnson staying in division, leaving the Lions for the Bears in the NFC North? Is it going to be from the Lions to the Bears, oh my? Or is it going to be from the Lions to the Bears, oh no?
This is another instance where a very capable young man who has to lead an entire team. Ben, he's first one to say, he says, listen, I'm not a defensive kind of guy. I'll bring in a defensive coordinator. But my forte is offense. I got the number 1 player last year. My offense is going to run through Caleb Williams, period. That's what he said, and that's what he's probably going to do. In terms of both of these coaches that we just talked about, I think Ben Johnson has more of an upside than Aaron Glenn does because, frankly, he's got better players, and he's an offensive-minded coach. Look at here in Jacksonville, we love offense. I mean, that's what we thrive at. I mean, any fan out there that's in Denver or Minneapolis or wherever you want to be, offense moves the clock, moves the chains. That's what we want to see. So we lose 35-31 one day, but hey, we scored 31 points instead of 10 or 15.
Yeah,
he's going to do that with Chicago. They may not be a very good team this year either. Maybe very lucky to have a 500 record. But I think that he's got more moving parts than Glenn does. And I think he has a more handle on the offensive side of the ball, obviously.
Yeah, looking at Ben Johnson, he chose Declan Doyle, who was working under Sean Payton and was the youngest coach in the NFL at one point to take charge of a position room while in Denver. So looking at that'll be exciting to see what he could do. Dennis Allen is going to be his defensive coordinator, and we'll see how this works out for Ben Johnson in Chicago with a team that's had some high hopes and just hasn't been able to come up with much of anything. Is when we talk about postseason, getting to the postseason, being successful in the postseason. They've had a lot of different coaches in a short amount of time. So it'll be interesting to see how this Chicago Bears team ends up figuring itself out as they step forward. So that's Ben Johnson in Chicago. Another hire that we have to talk about here as the 2 coordinators. And by the way, now the Lions have to they have to hire 2 coordinators that are now head coaches. Says a lot about Dan Campbell's tree, right? That his offensive and defensive coordinator are now going to be running other organizations as head coaches. So I want to get to Brian Schottenheimer for the Dallas Cowboys. I think if memory serves me correctly, they had a shot at hiring Brian Schottenheimer before they hired Mike McCarthy. So they could have hired Brian Schottenheimer back in the day. There were some thoughts that Deion Sanders was going to be their head coach. You look at Cliff Kingsbury, who's had a bunch of success with the Washington Commanders. Wouldn't that be interesting? Dan Quinn is a coordinator for the Cowboys. He leaves, becomes the Commanders head coach, and then under the Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, a former Cowboy, Cliff Kingsbury is your offensive coordinator. Then he comes to Dallas to be their head coach. That would have been cool. But they hire Brian Schottenheimer. So it's not Deion Sanders. It's not Cliff Kingsbury. It's Brian Schottenheimer. And so we just looking at this, I mean, Jerry Jones makes you scratch your head a lot. And now with Brian Schottenheimer, I mean, I guess the question is, did he just recycle through names that he was looking at before he hired Mike McCarthy? What's your overall take on it?
Well, he could have hired Schottenheimer 2 months ago instead of messing around the way he's doing. Jerry Jones, for all his intellect and his deal making, he doesn't make the best decisions when it comes to football. For some reason, he intimidates his own son, because if I was his son and saying, hey, Dad, you're a little bit long in the tooth for this, let me take it over, everything will be fine. Well, Jerry's not going to do that, and he's not going to listen to his son, that's for sure. So he could have had Brian anytime.
Yeah.
Now, Schottenheimer is a very famous name in football. Marty Schottenheimer was his father. Brilliant coach over the years, great offensive mind, and I'm sure Brian is from the same tree. So he's going to call up his father and say, hey, Dad, should I take the Cowboys job? And Marty probably say, well, if Jerry's there, no, but if Jerry's not there, yes. I don't know what to say about that. But Dallas has always had the talent the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
They've always had the talent. They've got their own blue chip quarterback, and Dak Prescott. I mean, I think that Prescott probably wants to work with Schottenheimer, and I think he's used to him because he was on the staff for a couple of years. I think that there's not going to be a lot to learn from Dak Prescott and Brian Schottenheimer. I think that they know each other, and certainly he's familiar with the offense. And I think that Dak Prescott is going to flourish finally when he's in a situation where I can talk to the coach and he can talk to me, and I'm not going to talk to Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy had the plays, but he called the plays, but sometimes he's sort of a grumpy, laughable captain like Belichick. But I like the hire because it's youth and it's offense.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I mean, what's the hoopla? Like, what was the wait? Jerry Jones doesn't make any sense. And if people thought, well, maybe Jerry Jones makes some sense, I would welcome you to the Zeke Elliott story of, we have this guy, he's pretty good. Then he drops off. Sometimes he's a problem. There's some drama. We're going to keep him. We're going to extend him. We're going to pay him. He's not that good. We're going to let him go. We're going to bring Tony Pollard up. He's been here. He'll be our new guy. Now Tennessee takes Tony Pollard, and we take Zeke Elliott back, who's wasn't that good when we let him go. Arguably is worse now. But when you bring him in the building, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders aren't the only ones wearing half shirts, because Zeke does it too. So just looking at that decision by Jerry Jones really makes you wonder a lot of things. Like, was Jerry on psychedelics? I mean, it's just the thought of, and obviously I'm joking here, folks, but it's the thought of Zeke Elliott being good, but also arguably potentially being a problem, getting rid of the drama at a time where Zeke wasn't playing that well, only to bring him back a couple years later and act like this guy's really good and look at this great, awesome guy that we got at a time where you could have made a play for Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. By the way, those guys did pretty good. I think Saquon won a title. I'm pretty sure they both had over 2,000 yards. So, but again, Derrick Henry, right? What did people say? He's too old to play running back because he's 31. I wonder how that worked out for everyone that said that. But the reality of it all is Jerry Jones remember, and people forget this. They're like, well, he fired Jimmy Johnson, right? Jimmy Johnson and him couldn't work together. They would have won five championships. They won 3. But imagine if Jerry Jones just stayed upstairs. Do you remember Jerry Jones fired Tom Landry? He fired Tom
That's
Landry,
scary.
like arguably the best coaches in Dallas Cowboy history were fired by the same person. So Tom Landry, who's a guy that you believe can lead you to a title. I mean, look at Tom Landry. Look at Jimmy Johnson. I mean, these are Cowboy greats. And Jerry has been a part of them both leaving. And Jerry's been a part of bringing Zeke Elliott back. So Brian Schottenheimer's your offensive coordinator. You take all this time. You don't allow the Bears to interview Mike McCarthy. You block it. Only to let him go. And then you don't wait to talk to any of these coordinators. You don't wait to... And by the way, let's throw this whole thing together and let's make it even more weird. They could have hired Kellen Moore when they had Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator. So, like, Kellen Moore is now the Saints head coach, and he just won a championship with the Eagles, who play in the same division. Just PJ, just for a minute, just go with me on this. The Dallas Cowboys had Dan Quinn on their staff, and he just played to the brink of going to the NFL championship. And they had Kellen Moore on their staff, and he just, with the rest of the coaches, won an NFL championship for the Eagles. So just make sense of this for me. Fire Tom Landry, fire Jimmy Johnson, let Dan Quinn go, see how well he does. Let Kellen Moore go, see him win an NFL title. Bring back Zeke Elliott, don't go after Derrick Henry. Can you please tell me what good decision Jerry Jones has made in the last, 30 years?
I don't think he's made a sound one. All I know is that his franchise is worth something in the several $billion. So I think perhaps maybe he's just looking at the investment part of it and not the football part of it. Sure, he's got the Dallas Cowboys. He's got the stadium and everything else. He's just not a sound football guy. Jerry's problem over the years, and I think everyone could concur on this, is that he doesn't take advice very readily, to be gentle with it. He doesn't take advice very readily. He's had several people over the years help to advise him, but he chooses not to. He wants to stay in-house to make his own decisions. He thinks he's better than everyone else that he's seen. That's his problem. His problem was his ego. His ego's not going to let him go. You're right, he could have had Kellen Moore. He could have had Brian Schottenheimer 2 months ago. So he plays the game and doesn't know what he's going to do. Now he's going to have to, he's a carnival salesman. Now he's going to build his team back up. He's going to throw some carnies out there. And he's going to say, oh, look at our team. We got this and this and this and this and this. Yeah. And they're going to fall flat on their face again.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense in Dallas, and it's sad because, like you said, Dallas, the franchise is valued so high, but they haven't won in so long that you keep hearing like how high they're valued and just the history and they're America's team, but they've been a non-factor. They've been a footnote for such a long time that it's hard to believe that they can be worth as much as they're worth right now because of all the non-success and just ill-advised decision-making that's happened. But Jerry Jones is his own boss. Is he still the director of player personnel? He's the GM. He's the head coach. He is the head coach, the owner. Look at how I misspoke, but I told the truth. So, but he is the head coach in a way. So, I mean, it's just, Jerry's got to be able to listen to other people and, bounce. You don't have to do everything that people tell you to do, but at least have a place where you can have a little sounding board. I have people that I trust that I talk to in my inner circle just to kind of see what they think and to keep me in check, right? Everybody deserves everybody should have a check and balance. Everybody should. The NCAA hasn't had one for eons, and that's why they're almost non-existent. The NCAA is going to write themselves out of history. I don't think people understand that. And I don't want that to be true, but it's happening. And unless they stop it, it's happening. So, and that's being talked about in this conversation with Randy Etzel this morning. So make sure you check it out. PJ, the last one to talk, and I really hope the NCAA figures this out because I don't want to see more chaos and calamity, but it seems like that's where we're heading. Let's take a look at Kellen Moore since we brought him up here. The Cowboys could have had him about 600 times, but they decided not to. So he went to the Eagles. He just won a title with them Eagles, scoring 40 points in the game. And, well, not all 40 came from him. One came from Cooper DeJean, but you know what I mean. High-powered offense. And now Kellen Moore, who just had the opportunity of working with Jalen Feels So Good It Hurts, to Saquon Barkley, to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith, to Dallas Goedert. Now he's going to the Saints and trying to figure out who's my quarterback going to be, what am I going to do with Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, is he my guy, is he not my guy, and who the heck are my receivers because we got a bunch of guys out here, non-household names, what are we going to do? Kellen Moore is going to a true project, and this was the last job to be filled. Now, looking at this, Kellen Moore, who some people got excited about in Dallas, keep in mind he's a former Boise State quarterback. He had success at quarterback when he was in college. And now going from Dallas, where he got a shot, to the Eagles, where he won a chip, to now going to the New Orleans Saints. What are your thoughts on Kellen Moore? Because, you know, people were questioning back then, should he be a head coach? Is he capable of being a head coach? When they were talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and he would have had Dak Prescott, and he would have had all these weapons, CeeDee Lamb and so on and so forth. Now he's going to a Saints team where he really is going to have to show what type of things that he can pull off, and hopefully they'll give him some time to do it because the Saints are looking for receivers, a tight end, a quarterback, arguably a running back or another running back. They need defensive help. I mean, he's going to a team where they are truly a wide open door of possibilities, which can be a great thing, but it's also going to challenge him to make good decisions early.
Kellen, I think, was put in a tough situation. I think he was passed over a couple of times where he probably could have gotten a job, especially with Dallas. Kellen's going to be working for a situation where there's not a lot of stability. Certainly, the Benson, the lady owner, is a first-class lady, but the football side of it isn't doing very well. I think when Sean Payton left, I think that was the end of it. And now Kellen Moore is going to be saddled with no cap money to work with. He doesn't know his quarterback's going to be, although I think it's going to be Carr. He's got Kamara, who's a little bit long in the tooth as running back. Taysom Hill, who knows? He's been a quarterback, running back, tight end for years. We don't know what's going to happen to him. He's got some parts that he could use. His defense looks fairly strong. I think Kellen is, of all the jobs that we've mentioned, include Mike Vrabel, who we didn't talk about yet, but that's another time. Kellen Moore probably has the hardest job of anything.
Yeah. And we do have to get to Mike Vrabel, and I had him right here in front of me, but Mike Vrabel, this is one that's interesting. This is one, PJ, where this was oops, our bad, let's fix it. They could have got Mike Vrabel a year ago, and I actually put out a picture of him with the Patriots logo on his chest and said, this is your move. And they didn't do it. They brought in Gerard Mayo, who also played for the Patriots, as Mike Vrabel did. And they spent a season with Gerard. Now, it didn't work out. They let him go prematurely, in my opinion. Not really fair to Mayo to give him half a second as a head coach. But the Vrabel thing was interesting because there was somebody that found my post on social media on Facebook and they reposted it. And they were like, this is who your coach needs to be. Well, now they've hired Mike Vrabel. They had 2 shots at Mike Vrabel. Now they have Mike Vrabel, who should have never been fired by the Tennessee Titans because they've done so well without him, right? They have the number 1 pick, I think. So They've gone through multiple quarterbacks. They don't have a true running back. They've been trying to figure this. They lost DeAndre Hopkins. They let go of A.J. Brown, who also just won an NFL title, mind you. They got rid of Derrick Henry, who also just won, or who got over 2,000 yards. So Tennessee's making some really great decisions lately, including Mike Vrabel over the last couple of years. Well, now he's a New England Patriot again, and I got this sneaky suspicion that he's going to be good, because keep in mind, Miami struggled. They go as Tua goes. And Tua, God bless him, let's hope he stays healthy. The Jets got a new coach. The Bills are trying to figure out how to beat the Chiefs in the postseason. So it's an open door for the New England Patriots, and they're going to be excited about Mike Vrabel. He comes from the tree of Bill Belichick, and everybody knows that Billy did a lot of work out there. So what are your thoughts on Mike Vrabel? To me, this is a home run, because it's a name that they know, it's a guy they respect, it's a guy that they like, and outside of other people that have been hired, he is a proven head coach who has had success, because he wasn't a coordinator at Tennessee, he was the head coach. And Tennessee, I don't know what their plan was of why they let him go, but the fact that he got back to the Patriots a year after I think they should have hired him, I'm happy that prediction finally came through. And I'm excited to see what he could do with the Patriots. I think that this is a great move, but I'd love to get your thoughts.
Absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. Of all the people that we've talked about and all the fine gentlemen that these guys are, this is the move that made the most sense. This is the one that New England had to do. They probably should have done it last year. You're right. The Mayo thing wasn't going to work out, I guess, from the get-go.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel is a proven coach. He's a winner. He's a developer of quarterbacks. He's a defensive-minded coach. I mean, he checks all the boxes. This, to me, is a no-brainer. And I think in his division, where he's in, I think he's probably going to cruise to the title and maybe even get to a Super Bowl somewhere. But Mike Vrabel he's a dominating type of personality, sort of like Dan Johnson. You know, he's a big guy. He played football. He's a tough guy. He knows what he's talking about. So if you're being chewed out by Mike Vrabel, it's a reason. There's a reason for it. So I think, Daniel, this makes the most sense of anyone we talked about.
Yeah. So there we go. That is Mike Vrabel finally back to being a Patriot a year after I thought it was going to happen. Now it has happened. PJ and I taking a look around the league. 32 franchises, 7 vacancies. They have all been filled. And so now we step forward into new eras for the Jets, for the Bears, for the Jaguars, for the Raiders. Also, for the Saints and for them boys, those Cowboys. So, PJ, as always, did I forget somebody? I forgot somebody, didn't I? I said the Saints and the Cowboys. I think I got everybody. But we step into this new era, and the Patriots. There you go. So as we step into this new era, I appreciate having the conversation with you. I look forward to talking with you soon, PJ. And as always, thank you for your time and your energy and your positive words and everything you bring to the table.
Okay. Take care. Hope you feel better.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll talk with you soon. That coming from Papa Joe here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We will take our final step aside of this portion of the broadcast. Our special with Randy Etzel also coming up here this morning. Don't miss a second of it. And, of course, we'll be back right after this inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, and more, including Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, as well as Disney Lorcana, while supplies last at GG Cards and Breaks. And they just got in a new shipment of stuff, and you do not want to miss out, folks. It might already be gone. You need to get yourself over there. They opened at 10 o'clock this morning, so you need to be there, like, right now. You know, listen to the show, have fun here on Wake Up Call, and then get yourself over to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Do not miss a second of all the great stuff that they have. I posted a bunch of their product that they got in here, and so they have a lot of really cool stuff. They have Photogenic Panini, which is 2024. They also have Aaron Rodgers as a Jet on the Panini Donruss cover here for 2024, and they have some rookies and stars for 2024. They also brought in AEW Allure. They have Goodwin Champions Upper Deck with Tiger Woods on the front of it. They got some Magic cards that came in, as well as some giant Pokemon boxes while supplies last. So get yourself out to GG Cards and Breaks today. They also just had a huge shipment that just arrived of graded cards, so you don't want to miss out on all those cards that came back from PSA. So head over to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Be a big kid and let them know that DT sent you. They're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for rocking with me today, because it's been a little bit of a rough one for my jaw and my mouth, whatever's going on with my throat and whatnot. So I appreciate you for rocking with me today. We had fun. We had a great time. I said we were going to have hour 1 with PJ, hour 2, Randy Etzel's special was going to air. Now Randy Etzel's special is up on Facebook. It's airing on YouTube at 11 o'clock this morning. So we're actually going to bring you at least 3.5 hours of show today, because we've gone almost 2 hours here. And then my conversation with Randy's about an hour and a half. So enjoy all of it on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Of course, you're with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. So wherever you are, wherever you're watching and listening, thank you so much for your support and your positive energy. Big time thanks to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube for welcoming Wake Up Call to their outlets as one of their channels. So big time shout out. You can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or one word Wake Up Call DT on any one of these outlets and find us, subscribe to us, follow us for free. We thank everybody that's been hanging out with us in the archives, that listens to us when they're on the road, when they're at work, when they're at the gym, when they're flying, wherever you are. If you're out on a boat, right, you're out on a cruise and you download our show from any one of these apps, thank you so much for your support. Big time thanks from New York to North Carolina, down in Southern Pines, Brooklyn Pickle. We know how great they are in central and upstate New York. We know we've been spoiled for a long time. Now we're spoiling the people down in North Carolina on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Head to the Brooklyn Pickle today, right down the road from Pinehurst Golf Courses. Brooklyn Pickle at Southern Pines, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Let them know that DT sent you. And a big time thanks to all of our partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. We put out a video on the social media yesterday. Make sure you don't wait until the last minute for Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow, folks. Head to Ma and Pa's today. They got treats that you're not going to find anywhere else quite like this, from freeze-dried candies that they do right, and everything's done there in-house, from their freeze-dried candy to their cotton candy to their popcorn, their kettle corn, their premium corn, and getting those tins. And any size tin that you get at Ma and Pa's, you can get half-price refills for the rest of your life. So if you give that as a gift, they can get half-price refills. And if you're married or you're dating or a fiance, you get them a tin, and then you can share it with each other. So that's really cool, right? You can watch movies together, watch the game together, refill the tin at Ma and Pa's all throughout the year for half-price refills. So head to Ma and Pa's today. Let them know that DT sent you. 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Avicoli's, Servomation, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, a great place to go for your Valentine's as well. I know people are going out to Avicoli's, they're going out to Brian's Landing, so shout out to everybody that's going to be celebrating there in these really beautiful, wonderful restaurants here in Central and Upstate New York, and proud partners of Wake Up Call. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, exclusive multimedia marketing partners with the Lemoyne College Dolphins. Find those Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin time as you swim over here to Wake Up Call. Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find the Dolphins student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. All you got to do is be here with us on Wake Up Call every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will find the Dolphins on the YouTube channel under their playlist that they have on our YouTube channel, which is simply called Lemoyne Dolphins. So check it out. And on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab, you'll also find your Dolphins. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com and fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as exclusive multimedia marketing partners. You will find your Bobcats every single month with student athletes, coaches, and administration, and what we call the Bobcat Buzz. And the Bobcat Buzz is going to have a Bryan and Stratton Syracuse takeover this Friday on Valentine's Day. I will be on site, on location, on campus at Bryan and Stratton in Syracuse, right there on James Street, up the road from downtown Syracuse, because they have two campuses. They have one on James Street right in Syracuse, New York, and one in Liverpool across the street from Avicoli's off of Route 57. We will be live on site, on location, with the new athletics director, Brooke Parro, tomorrow for a Bobcat Buzz Bryan and Stratton Syracuse takeover. Cannot wait to share that with you on the broadcast tomorrow morning. You will find all of our content with the Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. You also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's right, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We call it Bearcat Time, and you will find your Bearcats with us, student athletes, coaches, and administration, hanging out where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And all of our Bearcat content is on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will find your Bearcats right there on our YouTube channel. And you can find the Binghamton playlist on YouTube as well on our channel. And of course, you could find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com. And you already know it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, in just a moment or two, we will be unveiling our special with Randy Etzel. You do not want to miss a second of this, folks. I can't believe, we got so many things into this conversation. Randy and I speak on, because he was the head coach of UConn football twice. So we talk about UConn deciding to leave the American Athletic and all sports, going to the Big East, leaving football out to pasture as an independent. The fact that he said within the last year they got invited to the MAC and they got invited to the American Athletic Conference, who's under new leadership with Tim Pernetti, to be football only. They declined both of those offers. We discuss all of that with UConn and everything going on with UConn. We talk about name, image, and likeness, as well as the transfer portal. We speak on the NCAA and the state of the NCAA, Diego Pavia's lawsuit. What could that mean for junior college eligibility? What could we see happen with college football moving forward in the FBS? Are they going to go to a system of divisions? How's that going to work out? Plus, we speak on the college football playoff format. You do not want to miss a millisecond of this conversation with Randy Etzel. One of my favorite, deepest, and just multi-layered. It is an 8-layer, maybe a 9-layer chocolate cake instead of 7 layers. Check it out right now on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For now, Facebook at wakeupcalldt, X at calldt, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. I say God bless, no stress, do your best from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios.